How do you find good mentors in your life?
I'm pumped that you're asking that because that means that you're likely looking for a mentor or you want mentorship. And it takes leadership. And what's to have leadership, you have to have humility to recognize that we all need mentors. I have multiple mentors. Brandy has multiple mentors. And they didn't happen overnight. They happened by one being in the arena, doing research and figuring out what is it that I want to learn from this person, and then building up the courage to go and ask them. So I think the biggest thing I would say is if you're looking for a mentor and finding a good mentor in your life, do not be afraid to ask that mentor. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also okay to realize that you have different mentors in different areas of your life. In the field of performance for me, I have mentors that I go to for workload. Tim Gabbett. I have, if I'm working with a baseball player and there's a question I have, one of my buddies works with the New York Mets, so I go to him for that because that's the area that he specializes in, so that's my mentorship. But these mentors, I know when I'm reaching out to them and I know why I'm reaching out to them because we have done the groundwork before reaching out. And I will say that there is a good way and then a great way to reach out to a mentor. The good way is to reach out and have the courage to just say, hey, I need some help. The great way is to say, hey, I'm looking to improve upon this thing, whatever it is that you want to improve upon. I followed your work and I understand your take on it, and I really, really align with that. There's nothing more that I would want than to be mentored by you, but I just have a couple of questions that I want to ask. Mm-hmm. And I will say when I was a quote unquote young student, I'm always a student, but first coming out of school, it can be intimidating to reach out to people. But when you know their work and you can ask them that question and they can look at it and go, I know that you know my work because of how you asked that question, which means we're going to have better conversations with a mentor-mentee relationship. That person gets excited to want to be a mentor. Because the reality is, as much as we want to be mentored, we also need to have mentees. Because that's where we get to pass on the knowledge to the next generation. So I think for anyone out there, it's safe to say, yeah, you need to find a good mentor, but you also should be menteeing, or you should be mentoring somebody. Like you should be a mentee and a mentor. There's a lot of great people that have phenomenal wisdom that they get to pass to us, and then we get to pass it to the next people. And that's why we're doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. This is why we wrote the book. This is why we did the YouTube channel and social media, is that we're getting this info from really great people, from my mentors. And the worst thing that we could do with that info is hang on to it for our own good. We want to give it out to people so that each person can kind of find their way and reach the goals that they have. So I think those would be the main things. And then I would just say, a lot of times this isn't necessarily what's given in science, but I'm going to say, trust your gut. You know when you have a good mentor. You know when that relationship maybe was for a season and you're on to the next season, and you always respect that person and are grateful for the info that they gave you in that season. But as you grow, you may need to grow and have a different mentor. And that's completely fine. There's lifelong mentors that Brandy and I both have, our go-to people. And then we have different mentors in different avenues of our life, our spiritual mentors, our relationship mentors, for me in the profession, performance ones, baseball ones, football ones, hockey ones, like all this group. It just shows that we need a community and a network of mentors. And those lifelong ones, like, invest into it. Mm-hmm. And we joke around a lot of times that when we have dinner with friends, a lot of times it's our mentors that are like 30, 40 years older than us, that are just sharing their life experiences. And I think we need that more than ever, of just younger people going to the older people and saying, hey, I know you don't have all the answers, but you have a lot of lived experiences, and I want to learn from those lived experiences. At some point in my life, I might be able to reflect back on it and go, oh, I remember that little piece of info that they gave me. Anything you would add on?
Well, there was so much I was going to add, and then you just said a lot of
I got excited. I
Yeah.
love mentors and menteeing. It's
I think,
phenomenal.
yeah, I think simply, I agree. I agree completely. I think simply put, um, when you're looking for a mentor and to find a good mentor, ask yourself, is it for a specific subject or is it for like my life in general? Because I have a few women who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who are more of like general life mentors who I seek wisdom when I'm struggling relationally, or I seek wisdom when um, with multiple different subjects because they have so many years on me and they have had spouses, they have children, they've worked in different fields, and so they know a lot, generally speaking. So there's that, but then there's also, like Dylan had mentioned, within your field or within like a specific topic, like is it baseball, or maybe you're looking for a realtor mentor or an accounting mentor or like something of that sense. So in your search of finding a good mentor, first ask yourself, is it like for life general or is it for a specific topic? And if you're looking and you're like, I have no idea who I have, ask, like, you could either one, do what Dylan said, which is know people's work in that specific subject. So that would be more so like literally Googling and researching. Or ask your peers, because odds are you probably have peers who have similar interests, who have greater connections. I know for me, I gained a mentor in my life, and they're more of like a spiritual mentor, but I gained this mentor because I asked somebody if they knew someone, and they didn't know someone, but they knew of an organization that had people. So then I reached out to this organization, and that organization ended up like 7 months later connecting me with this woman who I already knew. And if I would have just asked her, but I was nervous to ask her because I figured she had a busy schedule. But had I just asked her 7 months prior, rather than asking another person who connected me to the organization that ended up connecting me to this person, I would have had 7 additional months in spiritual mentorship. But instead, I was like nervous to ask, and so I asked a friend, and they connected me to this person and this person and this person and this person, and then I got to this person. But know that, like, people for the most part want to be helpful and they want to create the space for you, but sometimes that's not going to be like, don't expect your mentor to be there for you every single day or even once a week. I think once a month is a very generous mentor, but it could be a check-in once every 6 months or a check-in per topic. And so, I love talking about mentors. Like, we could talk about mentors all day, but this is just a little tidbit, and maybe we'll talk more about it in the future.
Yeah, and last part is be a good mentee.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are able to have that conversation, that mentor, they probably got a lot going on similar to what you do, but you're coming in with specific questions, geared questions, and yes, there's time to just catch up with each other and get to know each other a bit more. But when you come in with these specific questions, you show that you took the responsibility, you took that next step, they are going to reciprocate that effort because they see how valuable it is to you because of the work that you've put into it. And then as a mentee, you have to be open for feedback, because a good mentor will not tell you what you want to hear. They will tell you what you need to hear. And oftentimes when you hear what you need to hear versus what you want to hear, it is pretty difficult to take that wisdom. Later on, it makes sense, but you have to be a good mentee and take that and go, dang, that's how good of a leader that they are, that they're willing to kind of call me out on some areas that I was maybe not seeing or was not aware of.
I love it. Oh, I want to keep talking, but we should go. We hope that this advice helps you in finding a good mentor, but all of our listeners, we hope that you consider asking yourself and reflecting, do I have the right mentors in my life, or should I go and seek other ones? And the odds are, like, I don't want to say you have to go seek other ones, but if you don't have a mentor, we definitely recommend you seeking one, because you are worthy of continued development and intentional one-on-one time. And that's what mentorship allows you to do.